it is time to put the cylinders and the pistons in. Well, technically the piston's in the cylinders, but you get what I'm saying. So let's do it. However, before we begin with assembling this thing, I'm going to see if I have a a die rather, that I can run over these studs. They're not bad, but they could use a little bit of cleaning up. So first I'm just going to have a look here and see what sort of thread pitch they are. I'm assuming it's probably a 1.25 thread pitch, and they're probably 12 mil. Yeah, 1.25. See how the M12 fits. Might be big. Well, we'll see. They look like M12 to me. So, and to keep any of the crap from falling down into the cylinders, just going to put a little shop towel around her there. So it turns out it's actually an M10 by 1.25. So we're just going to go ahead and run that over these all. There's lots of, I don't know if it's old sealant or, I don't even know what the hell it is. Decades old anti-seize. Whatever it is, it's coming off. Really should have done this before the engine was back together. I wouldn't have to worry about any dirt falling down the intake tracks here, but, well, it is what it is. That fits just a little bit better. Much better. So next up, I'm just put a little oil on the small end bearing, just so it's lubed for when, again, the engine first starts. This is going to be the number 1 cylinder right here. So, I'm actually going to leave all this in here until I'm done installing the piston. That way, if I drop anything, it doesn't fall into the engine and require me to pull it all apart again, which I would not be thrilled to do. A little bit of oil in here too, just for good measure. Brand new first oversized piston, 50 over. Rings already installed. Thrust washers. And the pin. So, 2 thrust washers go on, and hopefully stay in place. And then the piston, which I've already inserted one of the clips into, since I only need to fight with one while it's on the engine. They're directional. There is an arrow on top of most, if not all, pistons. There you go. It shows which side faces the front of the bike. In this case, it also marks this is the left by the L right there. Try not to drop your new pistons. I am going to rotate this so that the piston we're working on is going to be the most upright one. Then I'm going to plug all of these up again. There. That's a little better. Now, since making life more difficult than it has to be. So, washer's back on. Piston facing forward. We're going to start actually with the pin in just a little bit. I'm going to put a dab of oil with my finger on it so that it slides in easier. Started on the one side. On and over she goes. There we go. And just to be, again, overly cautious, put yet another paper towel there while I'm putting in the other clip. When I buy these, I always buy a couple extras, because inevitably one will go flying across the garage and you'll never, ever, ever find it again. And then you can't put your engine back together, and your life's just not as good. Using a small screwdriver just to prise it over and in. Naturally easier said than done. These are usually pretty finicky to get in. I don't think I've ever had one just pop right in. It's always helped by the fact that at this point your fingers are always covered in oil, nice and slippery. Come on. A little more. There it is. There we go. That's one. Two more to go. Tried to find you a better view of this, but there's just really no good angle in my garage with the light the way it is to give you a better view of what's going on, so you're just going to have to deal with it from there. So again, we're going to rotate this around so the middle one is its highest point. Going to pack again the paper towels into all the holes. Don't get complacent and not do this. You will regret it when that clip falls down into the crankcase and you need to pull it all apart again to get it out. I have not been so fortunate yet to do that, but I really don't have the need to find out how much fun it is. Paper towels cheap. Use lots. Oh, next bearing. Something very satisfying about pulling new parts out of their bags for the first time. All nice and shiny and perfect. So just roll it in some oil. Get the middle piston, which in the case of the GT750 is the same as the left piston. It uses 2 lefts and a right. I believe, and I could be mistaken on this, the reason it uses 2 lefts and a right is because the engine was essentially designed and based on the existing T500 Titan, I believe it was at the time. And it was a twin. So in order to get 3 cylinders, they just scabbed 1 extra cylinder on one side. Hence, 2 lefts and right. New rings. Rings go on the marked side up. See, well, maybe you can see that one side of the ring on either side of the gap has a small stamped number on it. There you go. And the same on the other side. That side goes up, ensuring that the gap sits over top of the pin. That only applies to 2 strokes. 4 strokes do not have the locating pins for the rings. 2 strokes have them, because if the rings rotated and got into a point where the gap was over one of the transfer ports into the cylinder, it could catch and tear the ring right out and bend it, and that would be the end of your engine. 4 strokes, it doesn't matter. See? Over top of the pin. There you go. Then we put 1 pin in the piston to start with. If you can get it open, take your pin and you slide it in just up to the groove where the clip sits, and you use that as a backing plate to push your pin in. There it is. Now we rinse and repeat. Get our 2 thrust washers, which incidentally go cup side in. A little bit of oil on the pin. Do that in a second. And a little bit of oil that's inside the eye. There we go. 2 thrust washers. Go. Got another one of the clips. And clip it in. I'm going to wonderfully block the camera while I do this because there's simply no easy way. You need to use both hands and see what you're doing. And in it goes. There you go. That's 2. 1 more to go. So, yet again, all of our wadding comes out. We rotate it one last time so that the outside cylinder here, the right hand cylinder, is at its top point, and we wad it all back up again. Piston number 3. And nothing makes for terribly exciting YouTube videos like repetition. However, that's exactly what this is going to be. Unless something goes horribly wrong. Which does make for more exciting videos, but I'd really rather it didn't. Since all of the bits I'm dealing with here were not particularly cheap. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Despite the fact that 2-strokes have really only 3 moving parts, the crankshaft, the pistons, and the rods, that does not make them cheaper to rebuild. The crankshaft alone is $600 or $700 to get rebuilt with new seals in it, which is an absolute must. I've grenaded engines before because they had a crank seal blow, which led to a rather unfortunate case of piston shatter. It's exactly what it sounds like. The biggest piece of the piston I found was about the size of, oh, I don't know, about that big around right there. And many chunks of it actually fell out of my exhaust pipe when I took it off, which is just something that kind of ruins your day. Another clip in. A little bit of lube in there. rust washers. Not sure if it matters, but I kept them matched to the cylinder they came out of. They're probably all the same, but on the off chance they're not. And on it goes. Cylinder number 3. Followed by the final clip. Amazingly, I've yet to launch one across the garage. Things are going well. There it is. There we go. That's better. Voila! All 3 in place. Now remove the wadding, while continuing to be exceedingly careful that nothing falls down there. I cannot reiterate that enough, how much it will ruin your day. I'm going to rotate this to the point, if I can find one, there, where 2 of them are equal and 1 of them is above. Just to guess, it might make it go together easier. I don't know. As you can see, we now have our 4 O-rings in along the bottom here. I've been told you don't actually need the middle O-ring here, since it's actually just a blocked off plate. There's no coolant passage there, but I see a little bit of corrosion in mine, which makes me wonder if it's weeping or not. Maybe there's a plug in there that leaks. But since you got 4 O-rings, may as well seal them all. Why not, right? Next up, we'll put the base gasket on. New base gasket. Which goes on, appear to be this way. Looks about right. I would actually suggest that you put the base gasket on before the pistons. Probably be a much easier process. However, this is where we are. Well, there it is.